In this video I will show you how I did a painting of a sunset, in the beginning with the help of a time-lapse, but later on in the video, as the difference between the successive stages becomes ever smaller, more and more interrupted by moving images. For the color of the sea I added violet grey to the mix I used earlier for the blue part of the sky. The sky needs a second layer to get more saturated colors and smoother gradients. Broadly speaking, I use the same colors as for the first layer. To the left, I'm adding more yellows. Smoothing out the paint with a watercolor brush. I'm saving the dark parts for last. If I don't, the lighter colors will get dirty. This way I can do them all with the same brush. Usually I order my frames at the same time as my panels. I like to put a painting in the frame halfway through to see if things are going in the right direction. To prevent the little blocks on which the painting will rest from sliding, I secure them with double-sided tape of my own making. In the coming days I will focus on the details in the clouds, especially the glowing edges. With a mixture of vermilion red and cadmium yellow, I darken the lightest part of the painting a tiny bit, for two reasons. The first is that I need a slightly darker background to bring out the light edges later on. The second is I can wipe the paint over the edges of the clouds. This creates an effect typical for a situation with an extremely bright light source, flare. I don't want to paint the glowing edge of the cloud directly against the darker part, so I first paint a kind of buffer of a slightly lighter color, and only then will I paint the glowing edge. At the start of the painting process, the differences between the successive stages are obvious, and you can clearly see them in a time lapse. The further along, the more difficult it becomes. You need to know exactly where to look. So, for those of you who missed the difference between these two stages, I will show them again. Painting a landscape is always about the right contrasts, both in terms of color and light and dark. This is especially true when painting a sunset, because the painting stands or falls with the suggestion of a strong source of light. Consequently, this will only be convincing when there are dark colors in other parts of the painting. The danger, however, is that those dark parts are just dark and have no color left. In my experience, the dark colors get a real boost when you spice them up a little, for example by adding magenta and burnt sienna to the rather colorless sepia. With a mixture of indigo and king's blue light and lots of liquid, I apply a glaze. Then I smooth out the brush strokes with my stippler. And the fan brush. And the stippler again, but this time with a gentler movement to make the texture of the surface as fine-grained as possible. My famous handle in rag technique again. I demonstrated it a few times before, for example in my YouTube video How to Paint Sparkles and Silver Linings, so I will skip a further explanation here. The cold colors of the water and the warm colors of the sky differ too much, so in order to bring them a little closer I paint a glaze of vermilion red and magenta on top of the blue of the sea. After I removed it with my rag again, a hint of color remains visible, just enough to achieve the desired effect. Too much is happening in the middle foreground, so I'm going to remove some of the dark foam lines. Less is more. The intense colors of the sunset affect all other colors in the painting. That's why I apply a glaze of burnt sienna mixed with a bit of vermilion red on top of the waves. Okay, this will do for now. Let's see if I still think that in a couple of days.